This that I'm about to show you and play for you is one of the most disturbing bits of video that I ever played on this show. Okay, so and I'm not exaggerating here. I'm completely serious. Lewis, you saw some of this before the show, and you were disturbed. There's a new, well, maybe not. Maybe you weren't disturbed.
I don't know if disturbed is the word. I don't know how to classify the feelings I had about it.
I'm disturbed about it. There's a new documentary on National Geographic called Pint Sized Preachers, and I wish I had the person's name in our audience who sent this to me. I don't have it in front of me, and I apologize. It's a documentary about young kids three young kids who are essentially preachers. They are being considered preachers, prodigies in the preaching world. Is that how you would describe it, Lewis?
Right.
And these are young kids, and I have video. Let me play the introduction of this for you. And my question is this child abuse? And if this were anything other than Bible-based, would these kids not be considered to be mentally ill? Okay, those are my two questions. Take a look at the preview, the trailer for this special, and take a listen on National Geographic.
Children who preach the gospel have long been part of the Christian evangelist movement. Today, the power of video sharing sites has spread the message of these young preachers around the world.
The word of the Lord shall not be from words.
In Mississippi, Kanon Tipton is 4 years old.
And then the Lord is going to jump down off of the platform.
Okay, so there's that kind of the introduction. And then he mentions Kanon Tipton. This, to me, was the most disturbing one. And I have video just of Kanon here. Did you want to get in on this, Lewis? You seem like anxious to chime in.
No, we should just play this, then we'll talk.
Yeah. This, to me, again, I believe that this is child abuse. I believe that this is one of the worst things I could imagine happening to a child. I would put this up there with sexual abuse of a child.
Okay.
All right. Well, but maybe Lewis
All right, let's see.
Let's take a listen.
I'm preaching now. Going to go out. Like a man's church to the man's church of Pentecost. Pentecost is going to do for the one Lord. Mississippi, where that Jackson is. Remember, the Lord done for us. Speak in tongues. Worship of God. You need the Holy Ghost. But feeling the Holy Ghost here, that means you're speaking in tongues.
Okay, so for everybody who can't see this is a 4-year-old kid. He's dressed in a suit. He has a book in front of him. I don't know that the kid can even read, first of all. And it's not clear to me he can read. Natan?
Yeah, I don't think that kid can read. I think he just memorized the speech, and he's looking at the book, because he's copying a real preacher.
Right. He's like Pavarotti. He has a white handkerchief with him that he uses to wipe sweat from himself. I mean,
I don't even think he's sweating.
It doesn't. No, it's all an act. And then I want to move it forward because there's another key point in this where they actually talk to an adult in this congregation about the kid and listen to what the adults seem to be just as nuts as the kid. Take a listen.
It anointed him, and I believe he felt inspiration. His dad and I were surprised because he was saying victory, and we're going to have a red-hot revival. And to me, that was unique. That's a term I haven't really used, red-hot revival. But that's kind of, I guess, a little 4-year-old child's thinking, and I certainly endorse it.
Okay, so what's incredible here is that there's an adult who seems to be receiving validation from the fact that a 4-year-old kid is talking about a red-hot revival, and he thinks there will also be a red-hot revival. So this is a disturbing situation. I don't know why you're not more freaked out when I see that little kid up there preaching about things he can't possibly even understand, first of all. It strikes me as disturbing. It strikes me as child abuse. How did we get to that point?
Well, you likened this to sexual abuse, right? That's what you said right before. You said you put this right up there with it.
I would put it not physically. It's not as destructive.
No, I know that.
Certainly,
right.
It's not. In other words, the kid is not going to be scarred in the same physical sense as sexual abuse to a child, but I put it up there in the sense that this is not a consenting kid, and he has been brought into this not by his choosing, even though maybe these adults would say, no, God chose him and this was his path. I wouldn't believe that. The kid was 2 when this started. Mm-hmm. And it seems like the same type of complete lack of consent, and I can't even put words to it. Go ahead, Natan.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, how is the consent factor different from like a parent taking a kid to, play the violin when he's 3 years old or play soccer? I think the problem isn't the fact that the parents are bringing him there, so much that we know that these parents are so crazy because they're taking this seriously that in 10 years, this kid's going to be in bad shape.
Well, the kid has been brainwashed. Would we agree with that?
Brainwashing, 100%. The kid's been convinced that he likes to do this.
Let me put it a different way. Here's the thing. There is an exception being made because what he has been brainwashed with is the Bible. If the kid were spending 10 hours a day ranting and raving
If
about...
the kid were one of the Westboro Baptist Church kids.
Exactly. If the kid were spending all these days ranting and raving about gay people, again, something which at 4 years old he doesn't understand, and he's just going by what he's been taught.
Then there would be an uproar, and people would not find him so inspirational.
People would find that to be abusive, would they not? They would say, he doesn't even understand this, and these parents are putting in, and we've talked to kids. We talked to Nathan Phelps from the Westboro Baptist Church, and very clearly he describes what he went through as abuse, both mental and physical.
I would say, to me, this seems just like what we kind of talked about before, where a mother will take her daughter, dress her up, throw her in pageants all over the country, and convince the kid that they like doing this.
Right.
I think it's...
If this were about anything but the kid talking about the Bible, it would be considered very differently. So I don't know why the exception is being made, because the kid's obsession is with the Bible as opposed to with witches or gay people.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. I mean, if the kid was just kind of doing a stand-up comedy routine, would you say the same thing if he was just, cracking jokes?
If he was imitating a preacher in a joking way and not everybody was laughing instead of taking it seriously and saying that the kid is incredible because he's talking about a red-hot revival, would that be different?
No, I'm saying like if the kid's telling knock-knock jokes and doing like a typical stand-up routine. I mean, would you say that that's also he's not consenting to doing that?
No, forget about the consent. That wouldn't be an indication that he's been brainwashed with things he can't even understand, I think. Wouldn't you say, Louis?
Yeah, I have to agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's clearly different. I think these are subjective things. We have to wrap up. Send me your thoughts on this, David at davidpakman.com. On today's bonus show, Facebook and Holocaust denial. Let's see if you agree with me about what's going on with Facebook and Holocaust denial. Plus, an NBA player applies for a job at Home Depot, and BP is investigating a new possible oil sheen in the Gulf. I think I saw it flying into Mexico last week. davidpakman.com/membership.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.